Hashtag no music, no intro. Saints Twitter podcast. Minicamp is upon us. To a mandatory Saints minicamp finished today. The final day of minicamp is tomorrow. And then after that, there literally will be crickets until like mid-ish July.
Nothing.
But, you know, I would say the overall arching theme, you know, and I've been keeping track, reading John Hendricks, minicamp write-ups, trying to keep as much, you know, in terms of in contact or being aware of what's happening at minicamp as much as I can, with work being so busy and everything. But a lot of hope going around, Ryan. There's a lot of hope in the air, bro.
A lot of hope, bro.
To be fair, like
time high, bro.
To be fair, like this is the season. This is hope season, right?
Oh
like,
yeah.
This is hope season, and
you ain't got hope right now, man. Woo.
So that said, we are gonna dive into first 2 days of training camp. Not training camp, mini camp. Our thoughts in terms of the observations that, you know, we've been reading from the Saints beat reporters who are actually foot on the ground watching these practices happen. Anything just kind of immediately has jumped to your attention?
I mean, the obvious ones are, you know, Mike Thomas being there, being present. We talked about that last week. You know, seeing Alvin Kamara with our own eyes this week. You know, he exists. Just the overall, you know, like this team heavily slept on, bro. Like I'm trying not to say that as like a Saints fan, because, you know, Saints fans, we always think we slept on.
Correct.
But like I listen to, like, I know you don't listen to many like podcasts, but I still listen to, like, you know, national podcasts and stuff, and they ain't getting no love. Like, I wouldn't even say they're getting disrespect. They ain't getting no mention. Like they're just not even getting mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even on the radar, which is deserved. I mean, coming off a boring milquetoast 7-10 season.
Are we the Titans pre Mike Vrabel right now, bro?
That's what it feels very tightnish. Very tight.
Like, man, I mean, to be fair, you know, after last season,
it's understandable.
I get it, bro. It's kind of well deserved for the time. That's
what I'm saying. Like, I'm not even arguing against it. I'm like, look, like, we watched the Saints games last year because we kind of had to. But like, if you were average NFL fans, you wouldn't try to see that.
No, not. Fuck my face.
Trying to see that shit. You know? So that's kind of where we at. But I mean, it's hope season now, baby. I mean, it's a lot. What I do appreciate is there's a lot of competition.
Yes.
Pretty much across the board.
Yes.
So it's just painting us a fascinating picture as we go into training camp and preseason in a month or so. It's going to be, you know, a lot of questions that need to be answered. That still got to be answered. Because we just don't know right now. But it's interesting.
You know, it seems like Chris Olave, as much as he couldn't kind of take the step from the rookie season he had, but obviously there are things in his game that he can do better, and, you know, things that we've talked about. But it you know, it really feels like a big year two. Oh, Chris Olave is gonna be back. Obviously, Rashid Shaheed has the groin injury. That's not considered anything major. So he's not. He hasn't been participating in minicamp. It was funny because it seems like at least day one of minicamp, we had really talked about the whole Taysom Hill and like what his role is, and it's like did one of the coaches listen to our podcast? Like, you know what, we gonna feature Taysom in every position drill just to show y'all like
everything.
Everything.
I was watching a clip. He threw a pass, and then they switched to the next clip. He was catching the pass. I said,
"Nigga, I thought you were gonna say you watching the clip. He threw a pass and he ran and he caught the pass."
That's how the clip looked like. I was like, "Damn, that boy working."
But I mean, he brings something to the team, offense, special teams, whatever it is that you can't really account for, man. Like he's this when nothing else was working offensively last season, he was this spark plug and he brought fire and intensity and just an oomph to the offense that it needed. And I think in the perfect world, his role now is if they have the weapons in theory that they may have in Olave, Shaheed, Juwan Johnson, Foster Monroe, Jamal Williams, potentially a healthy Michael Thomas. Now Taysom could just be like, man, just sprinkle him in here and there and just like.
Bro, I was thinking of a play earlier. Like imagine you got
this man thinking plays. Hope season.
Like imagine you got AK and Taysom in the backfield, in the red zone, say, I don't know, 6-7 yards out or whatever. And, they're in the backfield and you could fake it to, you motion them both. One go to one side, one go to the other. You could fake it to AK or fake it to Taysom. And then Derek Carr, don't forget, Derek Carr can run too. Like he's not like a blazer or nothing, but he will run for 5-7 yards and, bully himself to the end zone. And he could run and take off, keep the ball. If the defense covers AK, he could keep it trucking. Or if they fall off and try to get Derek Carr, he could toss it. Like they could do so many things, bro. With Taysom, AK, Jamal Williams. I keep coming back to Pete. Pete, where we at, Pete?
So you were talking about this play design, and the first thing that sounded fishy to me is you said putting them niggas in motion. I was like, whoa.
Oh, yours.
What? They gonna do what at the beginning of the play? Motion. Oh. To your point, it goes to that. And you tweeted about it today, and it's the perfect tweet. And I feel like, I know that we are the only podcast, and because we don't do things called quote unquote reporters. We're not reporters. We don't do that. But one of the few things that we came out on this podcast and said is the Saints tried to replace Pete Carmichael this offseason. Tried to, and whether it was going to be like a mutual, I take a backseat role, you get another OC in here, whatever. That was the plan. And back when they were trying to do it, because at that point, the Saints were not seen as like, and this is before Derek Carr came on board or whatever, but they were just like, the people that they reached out to potentially to be offensive coordinators for the team to replace Pete, they were like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's the offense. We don't know who the quarterback is, and shit. DA is head coach, and I'm trying to be an OC to become a head coach myself. Like, I don't know if I want to take that job. 3 people in the league told him no. 3, bruh. 1, 2, 3. So with that information and it being the full story, and it tells the whole story, if Pete does not have the offense being, I'm going to be conservative. And I'm going to be conservative and also assuming that the offense is mainly healthy in the key spots majority of the season. This got to be a top 10 offense, bro.
So I agree.
Got to be a top 10 offense.
If they are healthy.
Hashtag, yeah, big if. That's a huge offensive
line, Michael Thomas, all that. If that talent should be a top 10 offense, should be even if Derek Carr is doesn't blow the doors off, even if he's just solid, just with the run game, with Taysom Hill, with all that stuff, should be a top 10 offense.
It should. Like everyone was getting, and I don't want to be like I don't like being the Debbie Downer, and I'm trying not to be. But like there was all that excitement on like, oh shit, like Derek Carr had AK on a real route and it looked great. And I'm like cool, like that's cool that they doing this shit in minicamp. So I didn't see it in the game, bro. Like, can we get that shit in the game?
Real. But I will say it's good to see them doing it in minicamp.
It is.
Meaning, hopefully that means like, okay, we plan on doing it in the goddamn game. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is early install. This is early install. This is like, the bones of the playbook right here. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if y'all practicing it, y'all better be practicing it for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Please, please be practicing it for a reason. Thoughts on, and again, super early, very, very early, and it's too early to tell. And I do want to say it's great, absolutely great that to see Marshawn out there, see him back healthy. He's crucial and key to the defense being stellar. Thoughts on who lines up opposite of Marshawn?
Fascinating, man. This got to be tracked. We tracking this one, bro.
But it is to me, it's the positional battle of training camp.
Yeah.
Because whoever, like, if it's Alante, if he wins out, if Adebo wins out, whoever the player that quote unquote doesn't win, man, they need to be ready and prepared to play in the slot. Because if Alante Taylor wins outside of Marshawn, I don't want it to be a situation where Bradley Roby is in the slot. I don't want it to be a situation where if it's vice versa, that it's Adebo on the outside and Bradley Roby in the slot. Get your players, get your best secondary players, cover players on the field at all the fucking same time. It got to be figured out, bro. It has to be figured out.
I mean, we'll see, bro. I mean, because right now it's Roby in the slot and Adebo on the other side of Marshawn Lattimore. Now
it's early. It's early.
It doesn't to me either, but I get it because from what we've heard about, like you've talked about, and I've seen others talk about Alante. The dude, he's coming in the alpha dog. He got that. I'm not gonna say ego, but he's super confident. Super confident. So I can see the coaches kind of being like, "Look, bro, we're not just gonna hand you the number 2 job, CB2. You're gonna have to earn it." You know what I'm saying? From Paulson to Debo. So I can see them taking that approach. But at the same time, like, bro, you just got your best players on the field, bro.
Also say, and I know Paulson was hurt last year, so
and it's not even like, and I hate to say that because it's not like Paulson Debo ass, bro. Like, his rookie season was really good, bro.
Really good.
And his last season was not as good. He was injured, he was banged up, and we give him that caveat, But when you look at like what Alante Taylor is and what he could be, like that.
I don't think
that's potentially is like, bro, that's a nasty CB1 and CB2, bro.
I don't think it's close. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Paulson Adebo's rookie season. I'm not. But if you just in terms of just pure cover corner ability, if you show me the cut-ups of Adebo's rookie season and his best snaps, and the cut-ups of Alante Taylor last year and his best snaps, I don't think it's close, bro. Like, it's something about Alante's length, his size, and the fact that he's able to be that long, be that lean, be that big, and still move as fast as he does.
Right.
Like that is what any NFL team looks for when they're drafting defensive backs to play football in modern day football. Like being fast and being quick and out your hip, having quick hips and fluidity, that's great. But if you can do all that and be like big,
and you're a hitter. You're a hitter too.
Yes. So I'm just keeping track of this. I'm also keeping track of like a lot of Jordan Howden love, bro. Like I know he's kind of like this under the radar, very late, latest round draft pick. How's something Jordan Hayden, bro?
He was getting some one shot. He was getting some stats with the ones, bro.
I'm saying,
but they got some safeties, bro. Like I don't know how good they're gonna be, but they got a lot of safeties. Like Lonnie Johnson,
Smoke Monday.
Smoke Monday. He was getting some ones. We got Tyran. You got May. Like they got a lot of even Abrams. You know what I'm saying?
May though. We got May. I don't know. We got May, bro.
I saw May. May was styling for the video. He was, you know what I'm saying? May hit him. You know what I'm saying? He had camp, healthy. I'm just saying they got some safeties, bro. Like this secondary. This secondary could be something.
It could be. I'm gonna be careful because I remember. I mean, not the last time. Like they have shown. I just don't want this to be, and I don't think it would be. I just want this to be League of Shadows 2.0. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
Please. Why you mention that, bro? League of Shadows. League of Shadows. Please.
Speaking of hope season, man, I've learned a lot of lessons over the years.
Like, that's the thing about us. Like we speak from experience. It's not like we're not this way just cause. We speak from experience, motherfuckers. We molded by the darkness. Molded by.
One thing I want to go back. Well, we're on the defense. Let's keep with the defense. Pete Warner, if healthy, that's a big one with Pete Warner. Pete Warner, if healthy, maybe a Pro Bowl sealer this season.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl,
I agree.
Might be a Pro Bowl player. We might have to do a 10-minute video apology to Pete Warner if he makes the Pro Bowl this season. It would be, I want it to be like the freezing cold takes type. Like I want our audio put in after he was drafted for how badly we did not think he was how badly we thought he was gonna not pan out and be a terrible pick.
Just wrong,
bro. Wrong. Humans picking humans. Sometimes you right, sometimes you're wrong. Pete Warner, you're wrong. Alontae Taylor, wrong. Pete Warner makes the Pro Bowl. We gotta do the whole Nader gear, bro. I gotta buy the polo. I gotta do the stance, bro. We just both just apologize, and we gonna put it on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm adding Pete Warner. Sorry, Pete. Sorry, we were wrong, bro. Wrong. I feel like if he's healthy, that's the potential he has this season of how good he may be.
I agree, bro. I agree, man. And they need it. You know what I'm saying? Like they need it between him and DeMario. Like the drop off after them two, bro. Ooh.
And I know I've been seeing a lot of good things about DeMarco Jackson, and
we'll see.
But like it's like, am I sold on a second year linebacker that didn't play at all last year? Like, I want Quan back. I'm not, bring Quan back for just in case of emergencies, bro.
I can't, what is it with Quan? Quan just be out there chilling in free agency, bro. They just
chilling, bro. Chilling.
Like, what is it, bro? He's like the linebacker Wentz. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but he's like a good teammate, though. Like, people don't like Wentz because he's a terrible teammate.
Terrible teammate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it.
Um, I want to flip back to the offense real quick. We talked about the wide receivers and all that. I do think that this component of the offense may be back. Some of that's going to be contingent on play calling, and that in itself may be a Pete and DA situation, because we know how DA is averse of taking shots.
Right.
But we might have the deep ball back, bro.
Might have it, bro.
Might have the deep ball back. Like Derek Carr always been good at throwing the deep ball. Always been good at throwing the deep ball. It sounds like Chris Olave had a big ass touchdown catch today. It might be back, Ryan. Might be back.
I'm so fascinated by Chris Olave versus Garrett Wilson. Because you listen to the talking heads. It's
not even close.
Garrett Wilson. It's not even. I'm like, bro. I mean, you look at the stats; they were pretty close last year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but look at the games.
Look at the game. Like, Olave started off, and look, you both could give them, nods with the quarterback play and stuff like that. But I just want to see how that works out. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter, but I just want to see. I want to see Chris Olave really rise to the occasion, because I feel like he's kind of forgotten, bro. Just because he's playing for this Saints team, that's kind of really forgotten. I want to see him really come out and show out. He said he's worked on being more physical at the catch point. He's talked about he wants to be great, which we've seen from like the moment he touched the practice field last year. That's how he attacked it, bro. Like, I'm rarely seeing a player that's come in and it's just like, boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see it immediately.
Right.
And that's how he was. Like, from the first time he stepped on the practice field, from the first game, week 1, you just see it, and you know that you got somebody that can play ball. No, he hasn't reached his pinnacle yet, but you see that if somebody's going to reach it, it's going to be somebody like him.
What is his pinnacle?
I don't know. Like, I try to figure out the player.
It's hard.
It's hard. It's because he could be a guy that could catch like 85 passes, for 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns, and he could be the stretch guy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
I think I have it. I think I've settled on it. He's Brandon Cooks if Brandon Cooks was a wide receiver 1. I mean, the big difference between the two is maybe, like, I guess visually it maybe not the perfect comp, but because Brandon Cooks had little to no I won't say little to no, he's a fucking NFL player, so that seems offensive. But he lateral agility was not his thing, right?
Right.
So if it was always not fascinating to me because it really showed up at Oregon State for him, but I think for most Saints fans, when Brandon, he didn't do well with wide receiver screens. You know what I mean?
No,
he didn't do well with those type of things because that wasn't his game. His game was mostly just straight line speed. Chris Olave has that straight line speed, but he also has that element of he does have that lateral quickness and better than Brandon Cooks does. And I think kind of time has shown that Brandon Cooks, not a bad player, still in the league, still got a damn good starting receiver in the NFL, but he was just not a wide receiver 1. He was always, a wide receiver 2. I think Chris Olave could be essentially what Brandon Cooks brings to offenses, except he actually is a wide receiver 1.
Right. And he just strikes me as a guy that, the dudes that really last long in this league understand route running. And he's just one of those dudes that got it from day one, and I think he's only going to get better. So, from his route running standpoint, bro, I think he's just a player that can take every section of the field.
Yes,
there's no Chris Olave route. You know what I'm saying? he can run every route. And it's just going to be dependent on the quarterback and the offensive coordinator to make it work. So I don't know, bro. I just think he's kind of going to be his own thing, man. Like when he really reaches it, and the fact that he's working at it, like, bro, like it could be ridiculous, man. Especially if you get Michael Thomas on the field with him.
Don't get the hope going, bro. I'm being mellowed. I'm being mellow. I'm being cool. Just. But yes, I agree. Give me your thoughts on and I loved seeing this. And we don't, obviously it sounds like it doesn't know if it's going to lead something at training camp, but like Ted Ginn was out there coaching, bro.
It's good to see, man. Good to see because I think his dad's a coach.
Yes. Yes.
A coach big time Coach Lattimore, coach.
Yep.
Bunch of players in the NFL. So just to see him, we'll see where it's going. From what I understand, it's just like a intern type thing. He's dipping his toe in the water to see if that's something he wants to do. But we've seen it work out. Like Sterling Moore.
Yep.
He's a full-time coach now. Like he started off as an intern last year. Now he's a full-time coach, like coaching up the secondary. You know what I'm saying? And that's a perfect person to do because that was a dude that just relied strictly on technique to win. You know what I'm saying? I will never forget depending on him to stop OBJ.
I'll never forget like that season, right? With Sterling Moore and like the defense was terrible and like the Saints would lose, but he was still like posting like his interception on like Instagram or like Twitter, bro, and would get cooked by Saints fans, bro. Like those were the days.
You understand? This man been like a free agency every year, bro. So he just putting out his little stats, man. Put his advertisements out,
bro. Honestly, in hindsight, like, and I don't think I'm really not the person to like actually at an athlete usually, even though we do talk mad shit about athletes on the podcast. But I digress. Like, it's different, right? Because if you're mentioning them on social media, there's a chance that they're gonna read that for sure. Like, you have a podcast, there's some players that listen to it, some of their family members listen to it, so it's a little different. In hindsight, bro, if I was in a Sterling Moore situation, I'd do the exact same fucking thing. Fuck y'all. My accomplishment's out in this bitch.
We lost, but look at this INT I
got, anything else from Minicamp that's just, stuck out to you?
Well, I know we're going to talk about it more, but Alvin Kamara, bro, like, just seeing him just look explosive, bro. Like, he was doing that little drill. I was like, ooh, just moving, man. Like, just moving. The way he moved over those little pylons and then cut. It's like, okay. And, bro, like, I mean, talk about underrated, bro. Like, I listen to these podcasts over the past couple of weeks. I'm in top 10, top 15 running backs. AK not even in them.
You got to show it, bro. And you got to show it.
Like I said, like we said on this podcast. I mean, I understand. Look what he did last year, but damn. Like, Greg Rosenthal, they did like a podcast a couple of weeks ago where they were like drafting their top 10 running backs. And he had drafted Kamara at some point, and Mark and Dan, they were just throwing all kind of shit up. Like, I ain't gonna draft Kamara. That's a waste. Like, da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, well, he passed the eye test last year. And that's what I've been saying. Like,
right.
Like, I can understand if you just look at the stat sheet and be like, okay, he's falling off. But if you looked at Kamara, it's like, he passed the eye test. Like, it's not like he's slow or he's not as quick or nothing like that. He's still the player he always was, I think. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a little bit dinged up, but,
we were there in person against the Raiders, and that AK probably got that hype up from Sean Payton. Maybe Sean Payton has something to do with it.
I forgot about that.
But I mean, I digress. That AK, bro, I remember you, me, Joey, Chris, Bunch, Bo, bruh, he was destroying the Raiders defense, and he was that dude. He made those 2 plays of like catches and runs where it's like, oh, like he is when he, and I don't want to say when he wants to be, because he is uber competitive. He is still him. And that was probably the only game last season where it's like, okay, he's still that guy. And then, Sean Payton wasn't there, the other weeks, and so shit went away. But it's there. So seeing those clips of him with that burst, he's healthy. Again, like Ryan alluded to, we'll have a little more on that. It's really a healthy, rejuvenated, focused AK. All keep in mind, this is all assuming this man is not suspended, and we have no idea, right? No clue. No one does. But if he's healthy and the offensive line is healthy and can run block better, it changes the entire offense.
Straight up. Changes everything, man. And we'll see. We'll see how it all works out, especially with the suspension. He has a case, a court date, I think July 20-something, somewhere in July. And we don't know what's going to happen, and they could push it back even more. We don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm just like, I feel like there's at least one more AK season left, bro. Whether it's in black and gold or not, I don't know. There's one more AK season left, bro.
I don't know why, but like you said that, and the first thing I thought of was the Vince Carter meme. I think I got one more in me.
And he's been reading the tweets. He's been reading the tweets.
Oh.
Yeah, the talking heads. He's probably been here when he's not mentioned. He's been here when they, I know. And the way he came in this training camp, bro. Not training camp, minicamp. It's like, where's AK? We talked about it, like, damn, it's kind of like, notable that he's not here and all this competition. He came in that motherfucker like
a quick,
see me.
I guess, a quick, I guess, and maybe it just went under the radar for us that AK has not attended OTAs since his sophomore season. even with Sean. And I
understood that. Like I knew that already, but still, to me, this was like the first season. One, he's coming off of not a bad season,
it was a down season though.
But it was a down season. And 2, it was just like, you got a lot going on, bro. You know what I'm saying? You just had a lot going on with the case. You got competition. I just say it would have been, it just would have been nice to see him there. You know what I'm saying? Right. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter. And to see him come in and just look like so hyper focused that he was, just like, okay. Same with Lattimore. Like, bro, Lattimore going into year 7, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Year 7. Like that dude, like what, he's still like 25, 26.
He was drafted when he was drafted so young.
So young, man. He's not like he's this old veteran now, bro. He's lining everybody up. Everybody look up to him. All the players look up to him. Like, it's just crazy. That's where he at. Because he used to be a player that would come into training camp kind of slow.
Yep. I remember it, bro.
Cool. Shit, he hit the ground running. He batting passes, doing pass defenses. Like, he coming in. He's a true pro now. You know what I'm saying? And that's
maturity.
That's maturity, and we knew it would come. We knew it would come eventually.
We've hit on a lot, kind of rapid fire. Also, can we? I get it. You need a camp body. I'm done with Traquan, Ryan. I do not want to read another fucking John Hendricks observation right up.
Ooh. Well, I think he hurt that. You think he got hurt?
Of course he fucking did, bro. It's a Traquan experience.
Traquan, bro. Come on, that.
Just Traquan being Traquan, bro. Can can we get those snaps in reps to like James Washington, A.T. Perry?
I know I ain't heard nothing about James Washington, man.
I know Brian Edwards. I don't need Traquan. I don't need Keith Backwood. I just don't need it. I don't need it. Two things. I think two. I wanted to ask you about that's not Saints related, and then we'll wrap up. Thoughts on the whole Stephon Diggs situation?
Oh man, I just feel like that time was ticking, bro. When you sign somebody like Stephon Diggs, bro,
yes,
that Denzel mean man on fire. Running out of time. Because it's just eventually gonna happen, bro. Like you mentioned it perfectly in that tweet. We talked about that Saints Vikings playoff game.
I'll never forget it, man.
Not the Miracle.
I'll never forget it.
Not the Minnesota Miracle, but the other one.
The Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
He went off.
To me, it was just like, listen, you know me. I will always typically side with the players and whatever, but football is a team game. At the end of the day, it's not like boxing, it's not MMA, it's a team game. If your team is ahead in a playoff game on the road, mind you, they're up in a playoff game on the road, and you're still complaining about not getting the ball? I'm sorry. As a
it was heavily picked to lose too.
To lose, I'm at that point. I gotta question what is more important to you.
And then is it go ahead.
Is it winning or is it stats? Like right. That's the type of shenanigans and chicanery that I don't want in my locker room. Like I don't want that on my team.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I saw that when I saw the whole thing in the playoff game last year where he just like up and left. He was fussing at Josh Allen. That's fine. Like, you're going to argue with your quarterback. And then he kind of, I remember the media saying like he just like up and left the locker room and all that. I'm like, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go. And then when I saw he won that minicamp, I'm like, well, makes sense. Makes sense.
It does.
Makes sense. And it's not like he got paid. He get paid like number 2 wide receiver and paid. So it ain't about money. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know. He just, he ticked different, but
So I had to pull up my tweet from, I think it was, I don't know if it was that playoff game. I don't know what it was, but it was from August of 2020. This is my tweet. I know wide receivers are divas. I appreciate their outlandish antics. Love me some T.O. and number 85. Love their foolishness. But the reporting that Diggs was bitching he wasn't getting the ball enough in a playoff game against the Saints when the Vikings were long dicking us, that's trash. That's trash, bruh. It's trash. Like, it is so hard to win a championship in professional sports. NBA, NFL, whatever. It's hard, man. The Denver Nuggets just won one. They hadn't won 47 years, bro. Older than me and you. It's hard to win a championship. So if you're doing that in the playoffs, I don't need you on my team. I don't care how good you are. I don't need you on my team. Don't need it. As the great head coach of the 49ers once said, can't win with them. I want winners. Danielle Hunter. Speaking of the Vikings, since this is a Vikings portion, Danielle Hunter. There's talks that he may be available. I didn't realize that he had 10.5 sacks last year. Like, I don't know if we're just not watching. Exactly, bro. He had 10.5 sacks, like 40 or 50 plus quarterback pressures, bro. Like, I was like, what? Did I miss this when I was watching Vikings games? Like, I don't remember it. Do not remember it. We had talked about the idea, possibility, for Saints to kind of go all in, trade, Denver the second round pick they have for Denver, trade it to, the Commanders, get Chase Young, sign him for a long-term contract extension. Danielle Hunter is also not as old as I thought he was. He's like 28, which is not that old.
Yeah, man. Nah, man, he was
very young.
LSU really young.
Young, yes.
Raw.
Another prospect that I was, to be fair, his tape at LSU was trash.
It was trash. Like, nobody would knock you for not wanting Hunter. Like, his tape was trash. But his athleticism was off the charts. Like, he fit the Saints. I don't know where the Saints profile metrics come in at, but he should fit right in there.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he would have been like, he would have hit it probably like right on.
Right.
So he essentially wants, he wants more money. He kind of wants that last big pass rusher payday before, while he's still in his prime. The Vikings have shown all offseason, and I'm upset I didn't talk about this earlier, but you made the perfect point in the Discord in that essentially the Vikings are doing what everyone wanted the Saints to do this offseason. It's like they just tearing it the fuck down.
Tear it down.
Eric Kendricks, gone. Dalvin Cook, gone. Zadarius Smith, gone. What's the white receiver in our division now? Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen. Yeah. He has my first name. This tells you how long of a day it's been. Gone.
Patrick Peterson. Was Patrick Peterson with them last year?
Yes, he was. Gone. They are literally tearing down everything from their team. They got Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, and it's like, good luck. Figure it out. That said, would you entertain the idea of trading for Danielle Hunter, assuming that to get him, you're probably going to more than likely probably have to give up that second. I don't think you could get him for anything less than that Denver second, and you're going to have to pay him.
Yes, I give it up. Yes, I give it up to Denver second. I pay him. Would it be smart? You could kind of argue either way. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like this, bro. Like the Saints, the moves they made, they're trying to go all the way.
Yep,
trying to go all the way. So don't do no half measures, man. Like, go for it, bro. Like, this defense needs pass rush right now. You got a lot of potential, but I mean nothing that we could say is solidified. If you bring somebody like Danielle Hunter, I mean you good, man. Like Cam, he could do what he do. You could develop Foskey. You could develop the defensive tackles. Like that would set it off, man. That would set it off.
It would. I initially was opposed to and the Chase Young thing makes more sense just because of the age timeline. Like he's still super young.
Right.
And I'm more in favor of doing it for Chase Young. However, I do Mitch in Hawaii. Shout out to Mitch for sending me a care package over from Hawaii. Gave me that Portuguese sausage in Hawaii. That's delicious. It came today. So shout out to my dude Mitch.
Mitch, bro.
Just saying, bro. Just saying, bro.
Go get some Portuguese sausage.
Delicious. Mitch listens to the podcast, bro. He gonna hear you, Ryan. He gonna leave you out in the dust, in the cold.
Hey, I checked my mail today. I ain't seen nothing.
It's coming from the Pacific, Ryan. The Pacific. Take some time, bro. I live in California. It's not that far. You got to go inland. True. It's a mission, bro. It's a mission. Mitch in the Discord brought up the idea of trading for Danielle Hunter. I think it was last week, maybe, if I remember correctly. And I was like, no, I don't think so. But man, like, if I'm really thinking about it, and this is, we're going to do our kind of questions leading into training camp, closer as training camp approaches. But maybe like one of my questions, that still may be a question is, like, where's the pass rush going to come from?
Yeah.
Like that is a valid question defensively for this team right now. We just talked about extensively how good the secondary is, how deep it is, blah, blah, blah. Great. Great secondaries don't mean shit if the quarterback is not getting pressured. That's just how it works in football.
Honestly, the funniest thing is, like, the trenches are the question for this team.
Right. It is.
Both sides. Because we don't know what we get from the offensive line, and we don't know what we get from this defensive line.
Which is crazy because that's the position that they always invest in the most, besides secondary since Jeff Ireland. But it's always been offensive line, defensive line. We talked about this a little bit because the Philadelphia Eagles typically do the same thing, right? Who they draft top 10 or in the top 10? Jalen Carter. Who they drafted top 10 last year? Jordan Davis. So they're the question marks, and I think if you go out and you get a player like Danielle Hunter, even though he's 20, I say 28 like that's old, bro. Like it's not old. I think that question is answered. Also, I love how the fact that have not even brought up the fact that the Saints will not be signing Frank Clark because he signed with the Denver Broncos. He looking out for us even though he's not with us anymore. Like that's the definition of a good head coach. Just still looking out for us. Like we don't have to have that stink on us. We don't have to even entertain it. I don't have to be angry on Sundays if Frank Clark were to get a sack and I can't even enjoy it. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, fuck. Don't gotta worry about it, Ryan. Like, yes, all good. Anyway, we went over a lot in about 50 minutes. However, this was only the first part of the Saints for the podcast. Ryan and I are going to dive into some thoughts, some musings about Alvin Kamara, about, Ryan and I kind of talked about on this podcast. So like, and I straight up asked Ryan, I was like, man, all the things that the rookie Keandre Miller was saying about AK, like, is that a little tiresome? So we talked about that. So earlier in this podcast, we talked about AK looking spry, looking good, looking great. Like, is it just simply because, AK's ready to come back and be the dude and he's healthy, blah, blah? A little more to it, but you can listen to it in the part 2 of Saints for the podcast, quick 15 minutes. But to listen to part 2, you do have to be a Patreon. So if you're not a Patreon, this is a great opportunity for you to become a Patreon right now. $1, $5, whatever you're able to do, become a Patreon. So then you can able to listen to part 2 and finish this episode in its entirety. If you are not going to become a Patreon, we will be leaving you now. We'll be back next week. If you are a Patreon or are going to become a Patreon, we'll be talking to you on the second part of this episode as we wrap up the mini camp that the Saints have started this week and they close out tomorrow. If this is where your journey ends with us, thank you. We appreciate you. If not, talk to you on Patreon. With that, we're out.
Peace.